Y'all, coming to you with a video. Some might call it frugal, some might call it cheap. But I live in a campground. I'm going through a divorce, been separated for 6 months, and I'm down to one income. I helped put my wife through college, and she has an amazing income, makes a lot of money, and since she left, I'm down to my retirement check. And I was talking to one of my neighbors. He's been divorced about a year and a half, and we were talking about how expensive things are and how hard it is to save money. And he told me, he said, Chris, number one, you're going to have to swallow your pride. He said, and number two, you're going to have to quit looking at being frugal as being a cheapskate. He said, let me give you an idea of some of the things that I have learned to do. And they're little things, but they add up into big things. He said, okay. And there's a local fast food restaurant. He said, I was leaving one night, the manager was there, and he said, I asked if, I could get a few extra napkins because I didn't want to steal them, that I was on a tight budget, and could I have any? And he said that the manager said, well, as a matter of fact, when they get that low in the thing that they come out of, they jam up and they're hard to get in there. And she said, we usually wind up throwing, a fourth of a pack away. She said, if you want them, you can just have them. And he said, well, how often does this happen? She said, about twice a week, sometimes three, but usually twice. So he said, Chris, he said, I started going by there a couple times a week, getting the napkins that they're not used, the clean ones. And he said, why? And it's connected to a convenience store. And he said, another night I was in there, and he said it was getting close to closing time, and this convenience store has a huge, what I call a coffee bar. They've got the machines where they got the beans in the top, and when you buy a cup of coffee, you push what kind you want, and it grinds them up, and they come down and make a cup of coffee. And then they have some containers that are full of coffee. And he said, I just asked the manager, at the end of the night, what happens to all these good coffees? Because, they're hazelnut, there's Colombian, there's blonde roast. And she said, well, we pour it out. And he said, well, let me ask you this. Do you mind a couple of times, 3 times a week, instead of pouring it out, if I, bring a jug in and I drain the containers and take the coffee home? She thought about it and she said, no, there's no need in it going to waste. So he said, I rinsed out a couple of milk jugs really good. And he said, I go by there a couple of times a week. And he said, I just pour my coffee and heat it in the microwave. And I don't have to buy or make coffee. And he said, basically, I've got what a lot of people pay for. They call it cold brew. He said, but it's absolutely delicious. And he said, where the day old bread store is? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, he said they have so much day old bread that they stock the shelves. He said, and then they had these big bags that they sell it for like $5 for a big, huge 30 or 40 gallon bag of bread and cakes and donuts that is perfectly fresh and fine, but they just don't have room on the shelves, so they sell it and they mark it as animal feed. And he said it's clean, it's neat, just as clean as what's on the shelves. And he said, I go by there about once every 2 weeks, and I'll buy a bag of it for $5, bring it home, and take out what I need, and put a lot of it in the freezer. He said, but I get cakes and donuts. He said, I get some of the real expensive sandwich breads and the real expensive hot dog buns and hamburger buns. And he said, then as a treat, I feed it to the fish and the geese and the ducks here in the campground where we live. He said, there's just so many ways that you can save. One thing we like to do here at the campground is we grill out a lot, and charcoal has got to where it's expensive. So he's like me. He's got a car, I've got a car, but we keep an old blanket in the trunk, and as we're riding around paying bills, going to the doctor, the various things that we do, and we see where somebody's cut down hardwood like oak or ash or hickory or something like that, we'll stop and get the wood and put it in the car on the blanket. We bring it home. We've got a chainsaw, electric chainsaw that we share, and we maintain it, and we each buy the oil and sharpen it or whatever it is we do, and then we'll cut it up into small pieces and we'll burn that. And that's what we do our grilling on. I mean, just like a lot of your down here in the South, your really good barbecue places, they grill on hardwood. So many other things that I could list. I buy chicken in big family packs. Take it and put it in the Ziploc bag, stack it in the freezer. It's there when I need it. I like chicken wings. I don't need a lot because I'm a little guy, but I like chicken wings. Well, I had a lady here in the campground. We were talking about how expensive food is, and the subject came up of chicken wings, and she told me, she said, you know, if you buy the big, huge family packs of chicken legs and cook them in your air fryer, and then take them and toss them in the buffalo sauce, which she gave me a homemade recipe for that. It's extremely affordable to make. And she said the chicken legs taste just like chicken wings. She said you can't hardly tell the difference if you pull the meat off the bone. So y'all, I started doing that, and absolutely delicious. And she's right. You can't hardly tell the difference between that and the expensive boxes of chicken wings. Steak. I don't need a lot of steak. Steak's expensive. But I keep my eye out, and when I see like the big roast on sale, I'll buy like a big roast, and then I take it and slice it into steaks, and I put it in a marinade, and I've got one of the manual tenderizers that I use on it, and I grill it, and I have my young son over from time to time. We'll have a steak and baked potato night, and he always compliments me and tells me how tender and juicy and delicious my steaks are. And y'all, there's times when I get the steak for $3.50, $3.60 a pound, because I buy it as roast, and then I buy it reduced when I can, versus sometimes $14, $15 a pound for steak. And I'll tell you something else too. I've heard people turn their nose up at when your grocer has the meat reduced. Y'all, years ago when I was coming up, I worked in a grocery store, and I would have to on occasion go back and work in the meat market and help the meat manager out. And one day I seen him wrapping up some reduced meat. He was going to buy it and take it home, and I noticed there was a little bit of color to it. And I told him, I said, you know, is that safe to eat? And he said, absolutely. He said, come here, smell of it. I smelled of it. He said, actually, this is what it looks like in your super fancy steakhouses before you get it grilled. He said, it's called aged beef. And he said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. He said, now, of course, you want to smell it, see what it smells like, make sure it's not slimy or nothing's wrong with it. He said, but as a general rule, most stores are not going to sell meat that is bad. He said, now, yes, you will either need to freeze it or cook it right away. But, and that's what I do. I buy as much. Now, I tend to stay away from reduced seafood and a lot of pork. Sometimes I will get pork if it looks, reduced pork, if it looks, very fresh and neat. I'll get that, but I buy a lot of beef, marked down ground beef. I buy a lot of regular beef and either freeze it, and then what I do is I put it in a marinade in a Ziploc bag and then freeze it in the marinade in a Ziploc bag. And to me, y'all, it just is absolutely delicious. It tastes a lot better. But there are so many things that you can do. It might not be what you were used to when you were married. It might not be what you were used to when you had two incomes, and you're going to have to swallow your pride a little bit, but, that's just the way it goes. As far as laundry detergent and the laundry pods, there's several of us that'll go in together and buy the big, huge container of them because it's a lot cheaper, and we just split the cost and we divide them up. And we use that. And another thing that saved me quite a bit of money was I like bottled water. Just the convenience of it. You can put the bottles in the refrigerator, keep them nice and cold, and anytime you want a cold, delicious bottle of water, it's there. Well, even the store brand water can be expensive, and sometimes the store brand water is not as tasty as it should be. So I did a little research and I bought a pack of 3 very nice water filters where the water goes into the camper. And when I finish a bottle of water, I rinse it out because the water's included in my rental fee here at the campground. And I refill the bottled waters with the water that comes through the filter into my camper. And y'all, it's absolutely delicious. I mean, it is. And my son, he knows that I do it. And he told me, he said, Dad, this water is just as good, if not better, than some of the most expensive waters in the grocery store. He said, I wish that we could put one of these filters on his house where he lives at. But y'all, there's so many things, and people are really nice. I mean, I like stevia. It is a sugar-free coffee sweetener that can be quite expensive. And there's a local coffee shop, a chain, that I'll go in on occasion and just get like a small coffee with cream, and they have the stevias and the sweeteners and all in a container sitting out, and you can take, within reason, as many as you want. And again, I asked the manager in there one day, I was like, hey, I said, things are expensive on a budget. I'm not going to be ridiculous, but, do you mind if I get a few extra of the sweeteners and take them with me? And she said, I appreciate you asking. She said, get you 15, 20, 30 of them when you come in. And she said, as long as you don't do it more than, 2 or 3 times a week, I'm good with that. And she said, it makes me feel good that you're considerate and kind enough to ask. And she told me, she said, how do you feel about, like, at night, sometimes we'll have coffees left over, or we'll have a coffee that somebody bought or we made, and they were going to come in and pay for, and for whatever reason they didn't get it. And she said, you know, I could set them in the refrigerator, and if you want them, you're welcome to them. She said, you know, just stop by here on your way to wherever you go, and if you happen to be out. And I don't make a special trip because it's about 6 miles from where I live. But when I leave, there's times I'll stop in there and with plans to get a small coffee, because a small coffee just with creamer is fairly cheap. And when I walk in the door, before I pay for it, I'll, you know, ask, hey, do you have any extra coffees or coffees people didn't get, or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, there is. There'll either be some extra in the container or they'll have one made. And y'all, these are $8 and $9 coffees. They are so good. Another thing that comes to mind too is living in a camper, you're kind of limited to the amount of hot water that you have and how long you can take your shower. And there are 2 truck stops that are very close to where I live, and I pass them anytime I go anywhere. And they have the showers in them, and somebody told me about that there's so many times that the truck drivers will come through there and they'll fill up with gas and they get a free shower. And y'all, these showers are like in a 5-star motel. Super nice. You go in a room, you close the door and lock it. Marble floors, unlimited hot water. You get an hour in there. Well, what the truck drivers do is they'll come in and they'll say, hey, you know, put my shower up for somebody that can't afford one or needs one, or because I don't have time to take a shower, I'm on the move. But that free shower I got with my fill up, where it would normally cost anywhere from $8 to $20, just give it to the next person. Well, I've never been in there when they didn't have a free shower. And I just carry my towel and my soap and my shower shoes and the things that I need. And I go in there, and just the luxury of a super hot, nice, unlimited shower is absolutely amazing. So I get most of my showers there. And I've asked, and you know, I don't want to take one if that's all there is. And they always tell me, no, you know, we've always got 10, 15, 20 free ones that we can give away. So, y'all, there are 1,000,001 things that you could do to save money. For instance, I'm grilling right now. Well, what I do is to save money. I'll grill, like, I eat a lot of hot dogs. I'll grill 2 or 3 packs of hot dogs. And believe it or not, I like grilled bologna sandwiches. I'll grill the hot dogs and the bologna and all that. I'll grill it all at one time. And then what I do is I'll put it in Ziploc bags, put it in the freezer. And then if I want it, like late at night, or it's cold, or it's wet outside, and I don't feel like getting wet, I just take a few pieces out, because I'm by myself most of the time. And I heat it up in the microwave, and I have a nice piping hot dinner. So, you know, y'all, I could go on and on and on. Go to the local buffet and don't go in and buy this and that and everything else. If there's a few things that you like I like vegetables, a lot of vegetables, so I'll go in and I'll buy just like a big container of green beans, or a big container of tomatoes and onions, or butter beans, or black-eyed peas. I'll buy, you know, a container of cornbread and bring it home and put it in the freezer or refrigerator. And it's a whole lot cheaper than buying the ingredients and making it for one person. So what I do is I divide it up in these little plastic microwavable containers that I got at the Dollar Tree. Sometimes Walmart if they're on sale. And I heat up a portion and eat it. And it's where it could cost dollars for me to make it, big dollars for myself. I can buy it at the buffet and get it for pennies on the dollar. So I'll come up with other ideas. If y'all have got any money saving ideas, please, include them and let me know what you think. We're all going to get through this life. We're all going to find ways to enjoy life. We're going to support each other. We're going to take care of each other, and we're going to keep a positive attitude. I know when my wife first left, I honestly thought my life was over. Well, people kept supporting me and telling me it would get better, and although at the time I couldn't see it, guess what? It did. Now, not only am I surviving, but I'm thriving. Now, I might not be eating at the fancy restaurants that I used to eat at. I might not be shopping at the fancy grocery stores that I used to shop at. I might not be buying food and eating a little bit of it and throwing it away and wasting food like I did before. But I eat good. I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying my family. And as long as God sees fit to keep me on this earth, I'm going to continue. And some people have said, well, do you have a woman in your life? Do you have a female? After being married 24 years, it just feels weird to approach a woman or talk to a woman. I feel like a creeper, or I feel like they're looking at me like I'm crazy. And so no, at the present time, I don't. But hopefully, because I do get lonely, and it would be nice to have a coffee buddy or a hot dog buddy. But I just don't know how. I don't know if it's because I'm shy, I'm timid. I don't know what the right answer is, but I just don't know how to approach a woman after being married for 24 years. Because, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of times it just feels like we're still together, and that she's at work or she's out of town or whatever the case may be. It just feels weird. So, if God sees fit to send me somebody to hang out with, I can tell you now, God, I'm receptive and I'm ready. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Help me with these frugal suggestions, and I'll try to continue to post as many as I can think of. Y'all have a great day. Chris, the YouTube guy, over and out.